Alrighty, Tiger fans, now with the draft done and we've got some new players into the club, the next thing to look at is a round one best 22. Now, I know we are only in November, but I thought it'd be a bit of fun to have a go at this. Now, if you head over to Zero Hanger's website, they do have a pick your own team section, which you can build your own 22, including the draftees from this year, which is very, very cool. So to the right of me is the 22 I've selected. I'll run through it quickly. Fullback, Noah Bolter. I know there's been a lot of discussion about Bolter being forward or back. I still think he could have played forward. However, with the draftees we've just taken in, I don't think there's a need for that now. So Noah Bolter stays in the back line where he does play his best football. Back pockets, Nathan Broad and Nick Vlaston. Look, it's a team defence, so these guys could push up to half forward, but two very, very experienced players for us. Both exceptional defenders. They can play tall, play small. Vlaston and Broad, very, very good intercept markers, and I would argue they would be one of the first two picked every week when playing for Richmond. Absolutely essential to have them back there. Halfback line, I've gone with a younger look here. Centre halfback, I've gone Josh Gibcus. I think, again, he was one I was probably toying with the idea of throwing forward prior to draft, but now we've got those players in. I think we can settle him at centre halfback where he will play his best football as an intercept marker. So Josh Gibcus I've got down there. James Trezise and Tom Brown I've got as my halfbacks. I just think that Tom Brown showed some really promising signs there. Very lovely long kick of the ball. And Trezise has got that raw pace to burn, and he just needed an extended run at it. I know he did play a few games here and there, but then copped some injuries. But I really do see a lot of potential in Trezise, and I would love to see him have 22 games at halfback just to show us what he can do, because I do think with his speed, his agility, his ball use, he could be very, very handy on the halfback line. Moving down to the wings, this is a bit of a changing of the guard of sorts. Obviously, Pickett and McIntosh have done a job there for us for many years, but I'm rolling along with Sam Banks and Hugo Ralphsmith onto the wings. Hugo last year, I think, had a real breakout year, a real year of maturity as well. I thought he was almost our most improved player. He still turned it over occasionally by foot, but running at that speed, that's probably bound to happen at times. I just love his willingness to take the game on and to back himself. And I think that kind of trait is something you've got to embrace. And if we let Hugo play to his strengths, I think he'll keep growing into be a very, very good wingman. Sam Banks, I know the club really rate him highly internally. He's shown some really nice signs as well. I want to see him elevate himself and take his game to the next level. I want to see him own a spot in the team and make it his and say, if you want it, come and get it. And I think the wing could be a nice spot for him. Again, similar good ball use. The one thing we need both of them to have, though, is good discipline. They need to be able to both hold their width, especially on the fat side of the ground so opposition can't switch the ball easily. If they can do that, they'll have my tick of approval. Half forward line. Now, I have gone for a couple of the draftees. Sam Lawler, let's bring him in on the half forward line and let him strut his stuff on the big stage. Round one against the Blues at the MCG. Why not? He was made for the big stuff, so let him go at it. He'll obviously rotate through the midfield as well, but I think it's a good starting point for him to get a taste of AFL football. He's still going to be damaging at half forward. He's still got a lovely kick. He's strong, loves the contest, and I think you've got to get games into him quickly, and I think he's ready made for AFL football. Jonty Fall, I've gone for centre half forward. This is a little bit of a up in the air selection. Obviously, Tom Lynch has been our traditional centre half forward. I just don't know if Lynch has got the mobility to keep running up and down the ground like we would need a centre half forward to. Jonty Fall, by contrast, is a competitive animal, very, very good from a fitness level, can take a mark, loves the contested stuff. I just feel like he might be a handy link-up player between the arcs and somebody who might be prepared to get on his bike and work hard for the team. So might roll the dice there with Jonty. Other half forward, Ryan Mansell, who, similar to Hugo Ralphsmith, I thought Ryan Mansell had a super year last year. Showed a lot of maturity. I love his tenacity and chasing of the ball or the man with the ball. He goes as hard at it as anybody that we have on our list. And the other impressive thing from Mansell is he actually really increased his output from a goal-kicking point of view. So he was hitting the scoreboard a lot of weeks. In a year where we didn't kick many goals, that was a bit of a shining light for us. So hopefully he can continue that. To the full forward line, Maurice Rioli Jr. in a forward pocket. Now, I ultimately do hope that he spends a lot of time in the midfield as well. I do think he's got a really good point of difference in there with his speed because we have a bit of imbalance there, but I think we might see him up forward predominantly causing some serious chaos. And even though he doesn't record a stat for this, the amount of times he pressures or creates perceived pressure to a player who then just blast kicks down the line into our hands is huge. And it's so valuable to our team in the way we set up. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he's got to bring for 2025. Tom Lynch at full forward. No surprise there. It's lunchtime. The last 2 years, it's no secret, haven't been great for Lynch. 8 games in 2 years is not the outcome either of us wanted from supporters, club, or Lynch himself. But with the new fitness team at the helm, I'm really hoping that we can get him cherry right for round 1, because he does make a massive difference to our side structurally and our ability to kick goals. So we just looked so lost forward of centre last year without him. So fingers crossed we can get, at least half a season, if not more, out of him, and we'd be in good stead. The other forward pocket I've gone with Jacob Bauer. I know he's not small, but I think he's seriously talented and a little bit injury interrupted. But when we have seen him out there, he's shown some really, really good signs. Lovely kick of the ball, very good mark, has shown his ability to be a clutch time goal kicker in the VFL with a couple of goals after the siren. I really think he's going to be a serious player. And for me, he's just one of those guys we've got to get 50 games into ASAP. For the midfield, we still need to have some experience there. I'm not fully sold on this setup, so don't come at me too hard. Tim Taranto in the middle, I think is a no-brainer. The guy oozes class and leadership, and I think he could be a future captain for us, and I really rate his work in the midfield. Dion Prestia, the other midfielder, runs hard both ways. I know he's towards the end of his career, and I understand he's got injury issues, but he's still one of the best midfielders we have, and I don't think we can throw the young kids to the wolves just yet. So Dion gets the nod for me. And this one's a bit of a left field one. So now hear me out. It's one of those ones. Jaden Short. Now I know we've trialled him there in the past. It didn't not work, but we needed him down back more. My reasoning for this is last year, it's pretty well documented, Short didn't have a great year. His kicking was well off, confidence well down. And I said a few times last year on the pods, maybe we need to freshen up his role and just rejuvenate him a little bit. He's also going to have a more defensive mindset than the other guys in the midfield. And if he does get the clearance, he's going to kick at 65 metres, 60 to 65, to deep inside 50, which is a big advantage as well. So I think there's a couple of pluses there from having Shorty in there. And it's just a bit of a rolling the dice for me and trying something a bit different to freshen up the midfield, because we are too one-paced, we are too slow. So I'm hoping that kind of helps fix it. But that's a bit left field. May not happen, but that's just where my head's at. And on the bench, I've gone Josh Smiley, one of the other draftees, built, ready-made to go. Look, may not play bulk midfield minutes, but you could definitely see him playing in the forward line. And I did read somewhere that he did play some halfback across some of his junior career to really good effect. Maybe that's an option to rotate through there as well. But I think we've got to get him into the system quickly, form permitting, and I think he'll bring quite a bit to the table. Seth Campbell, another interchange spot. Again, I thought he showed some really promising signs last year, and I'm just looking at him to keep building on that and building on that. Again, you want to get him to 50 to 70 games as quick as possible to see what we've got. But I think he's held very highly in the club, and I think there's a bit of a future there for him. Ben Miller's the next bench spot. Now, this bench spot was between Ben Miller and Samson Ryan, with my view being as a backup ruckman. Now, I don't want Bolter, Gibcus, Jonty Fall or Tom Lynch backup rucking to Nank. I think that's just flirting with too much danger. I know Samson Ryan is the taller of the two, but I just felt Ben Miller had a bit more versatility and a bit more, I suppose, mobility at ground level than what Ryan does. We've seen Miller play forward and back and chop out ruck. And I just think he's got a good pair of hands, and it isn't a bad option to ruck relief when Nank's off the ground, because he can do a multitude of roles. I know that one's probably going to be up in the air though, so keen to hear everyone's thoughts on that. And the final bench spot I've gone Kane McAuliffe. I really like what Kane McAuliffe brings. I know he didn't get a lot of games last year, but I've got serious high hopes for him, and I think he's about to explode. He's come back and ripping Nick. He's got some huge arms on him. I know that doesn't mean much in the grand scheme of things, but he is fit and ready to go. Ultimately, we want him to be our next extractor. He can do it both inside and outside. Good left foot kick. And again, one of those players I want to see us get to 50 games ASAP, because I think he's got all the tools to make it. So there's my crack at a best 22 for round 1. I know there's plenty of options out there, especially with the new kids that come in as well. And it's going to be exciting watching a young team run around for 2025. So Let us know how it went in the comments below. Make sure you like and subscribe for more. And if you do this yourself, make sure you drop us a comment or send me an image of what your team looked like as well.